Dr. Elena Rodriguez was having the worst week of her career. The coffee machine in the observatory had broken down for the third time this month. Her research funding was running low, and now the main radio telescope was acting up again. She rubbed her tired eyes and stared at the computer screen showing wave patterns that made no sense whatsoever. It was March 15th, 2019, and Elena had been working at the Puerto Rico Observatory for almost 10 years. She knew every sound the equipment made, every normal signal from space, and every possible way things could go wrong. But what she was seeing right now was completely different from anything in her experience. The signals started appearing around 3 a.m. At first, Elena thought someone was playing a prank on her. The patterns were too neat, too organized. Space signals were usually random bursts of energy from dying stars or cosmic events. These signals looked like someone was deliberately sending a message. Elena called her colleague David, who lived just 20 minutes away. David was known for staying up late anyway, so she wasn't too worried about waking him up. When he arrived at the observatory, he was still in his pajamas and holding a cup of coffee. "Show me what you've got," David said, settling into the chair. Next to Elena, Elena pointed at the screen. "Look at this pattern. It repeats every 47 minutes and 32 seconds. Exactly, not approximately, but exactly down to the millisecond." David frowned and leaned closer. "That's weird. Have you checked if it's coming from a satellite?" "Already did. It's not from any satellite we know about. The signal is coming from way outside our solar system, but it's incredibly strong. Stronger than it should be for something that far away." They spent the next 6 hours analyzing the signal. The more they studied it, the stranger it became. The pattern wasn't random at all. It contained mathematical sequences that seemed deliberately structured. Prime numbers, Fibonacci sequences, and calculations that Elena recognized from advanced physics textbooks. "This is either the most sophisticated hoax in history, or we've found something incredible." Elena said that David was already reaching for his phone. "I'm calling Professor Johnson at the university. He needs to see this." By noon, word had spread to 3 other observatories. Elena kept expecting someone to call and tell her it was all a mistake, that they had figured out the source of the signals. Instead, the calls she received made her stomach drop. "Elena, this is Dr. Kim from the South Korean Observatory. We're picking up the exact same signal you reported. Same pattern, same timing, everything." 20 minutes later, another call. "Dr. Rodriguez? This is the team in Australia. We've got your signal here too." Then Germany, then Japan. Then Chile. Elena felt like she was in a movie. 6 observatories across the world were all receiving the same impossible signal from deep space. The mathematical patterns were so complex that it took their combined computer power just to begin understanding what they meant. Professor Johnson arrived at the observatory that evening with 2 government officials Elena had never seen before. They wore dark suits and had the kind of serious expressions that made Elena nervous. "Dr. Rodriguez," one of them said, "we need you to understand that what you've discovered is now classified information. You cannot discuss this with anyone outside your immediate research team." Elena felt confused and a little angry. "Classified? This is scientific discovery. The whole world should know about this." The second official stepped forward. "We understand your position, Dr. Rodriguez, but until we know more about the source and intent of these signals, we need to be careful. Think about it. If these signals are truly from an advanced civilization, the public announcement could cause panic." Over the next 3 days, Elena barely slept. The signals continued with the same precise timing. The mathematical patterns became more complex, as if whoever was sending them was gradually revealing more information. The strangest part was that the signals seemed to contain detailed information about Earth. "Look at this section," Elena showed David on the 3rd day. "These numbers match Earth's gravitational field strength. And this sequence here corresponds to our planet's distance from the Sun." David was quiet for a long moment. "How could anyone from outside our solar system know these details about Earth?" Elena had been asking herself the same question. The signals contained information that suggested the senders had been studying Earth for a long time. They knew about Earth's atmosphere, its magnetic field, and even seemed to have mapped major population centers. Based on electromagnetic emissions, the most disturbing discovery came on the third night. Elena was analyzing a new section of the signal when she realized what she was looking at. The mathematical patterns weren't just describing Earth's natural features. They were mapping human military installations, nuclear facilities, and defense systems. "David, come look at this," Elena said, her voice shaking slightly. David hurried over and looked at the screen. Elena pointed to specific sequences. These coordinates match the locations of major military bases. This section corresponds to nuclear power plants, and this part here seems to be tracking missile defense systems. They stared at the screen in silence. Someone or something with incredibly advanced technology had been watching Earth, studying its defenses, and learning about human civilization. The signals weren't just a friendly hello from space neighbors. They were detailed reconnaissance. Reports. Elena tried calling the government officials, but their phones went straight to voicemail. She left urgent messages explaining what they had discovered, but no one called back. On the fourth day, something changed. Elena arrived at the observatory to find that the signals had stopped completely. The radio telescopes were working perfectly, but the space where the mysterious signals had been coming from was now silent. Elena spent the entire day checking and rechecking the equipment. She called the other observatories and they all reported the same thing. After exactly 72 hours, the signals had vanished as suddenly as they had appeared. Professor Johnson arrived that evening with more government officials. This time, there were 5 of them, and they looked even more serious than before. "Dr. Rodriguez," one of them said, "we need all your data on these signals. Everything you recorded, every analysis you performed, every note you took." Elena hesitated. "What are you going to do with it?" "It's classified. But I can tell you that teams of scientists and military experts are now studying what you discovered. Your work may have identified the most significant event in human history." As Elena handed over her research, she felt a mixture of pride and worry. She had discovered proof that Earth was being watched by an advanced civilization, but she also realized that this civilization knew far too much about human defenses and capabilities. After the officials left with her data, Elena sat alone in the observatory. She looked up at the stars through the telescope and wondered who was out there looking back at her. Were they friendly explorers trying to make contact? Were they scientists studying Earth the same way humans study other planets? Or were they something else entirely? Elena didn't know it yet, but her discovery was the beginning of a chain of events that would change everything for humanity. The signals had been a test, a way for an advanced galactic civilization to assess Earth's technological capabilities and military readiness. The silence that followed wasn't the end of contact. It was just the beginning of a much larger plan that would unfold over the next several years. Elena had detected the first phase of what would become the most important communication in human history. But for now, all she could do was wait and watch the stars, knowing that somewhere out there someone was watching back. 4 years had passed since Elena Rodriguez first detected those strange signals from space. 4 long years of watching the skies and finding nothing. Sometimes she wondered if she had imagined the whole thing, but the government officials still called her every few months asking if she had detected anything new. Elena had tried to go back to her normal research, but everything felt different now. Every unusual reading made her heart race. Every unexpected sound from the equipment made her think they were back. She had become obsessed with monitoring deep space, staying late at the observatory almost every night. Her colleague David often joked that she had become a different person since 2019. "You used to study regular stars and galaxies," he would say. "Now you're always looking for aliens." David wasn't wrong. Elena had installed additional monitoring equipment with her own money. She had created new computer programs to analyze incoming signals. She even learned to read atmospheric data because she had a theory that whoever sent those signals might still be watching Earth. The breakthrough came on a Tuesday. Evening in September 2021, Elena was analyzing atmospheric readings when she noticed something odd. The upper atmosphere showed disturbances that didn't match any known weather patterns. The disturbances formed geometric shapes that moved slowly across different regions of the planet. "David, look at this," Elena called out. "These atmospheric readings are showing patterns." David came over and studied the data. "That's strange. It looks like something large is moving through the upper atmosphere, but our satellites aren't detecting anything." Elena felt the familiar chill she remembered. From 2019? What if they're back? What if they never really left? Meanwhile, halfway around the world, Dr. Chunwei was having his own mysterious experiences. Chun worked as a geologist in Tibet, studying earthquake patterns and underground movements. He had been doing this work for 15 years and knew the mountains better than most people knew their own neighborhoods. In late 2021, Chun started noticing seismic readings that made no sense. The underground vibrations were too regular, too organized. They seemed to follow patterns that had nothing to do with natural geological activity. "It's like someone is scanning the earth from underground," Chun told his research partner, Dr. Lisa Park. "The vibrations move in straight lines across continents. Natural earthquakes don't behave like this." Lisa thought Chun was working too hard. "Maybe you need a vacation. Earthquakes can be unpredictable." But Chun was certain something unusual was happening. He started keeping detailed records of the strange seismic activity. The patterns appeared every few weeks, always at night, always following the same systematic approach of scanning large areas of the planet on the other side of the world. Amy Johnson was dealing with her own set of unexplained phenomena. Amy was an agricultural researcher in Kansas who specialized in crop patterns and farming efficiency. She had spent most of her career helping farmers improve their harvest yields. In early 2022, Amy started receiving reports from farmers about strange crop formations appearing overnight. At first, she assumed they were dealing with the usual crop circles that pranksters sometimes created. But when she investigated, she found something completely different. "These aren't random circles," Amy told her supervisor after visiting the third farm. "The patterns contain mathematical sequences. Someone is creating complex geometric designs that would require advanced planning and precision." Amy began documenting every strange crop formation reported in her region. The patterns were too sophisticated for human pranksters. They required knowledge of advanced mathematics and appeared to be created by some kind of technology that left no trace of how they were made. The three scientists had no idea that their separate discoveries were connected until Elena decided to do something that would change everything. In March 2023, exactly 4 years after her first discovery, Elena created an encrypted online forum for researchers experiencing unexplained phenomena. Elena wasn't sure anyone would respond to her invitation. She posted a carefully worded message on several scientific websites asking if anyone had detected unusual patterns in their research that didn't fit normal explanations. Dr. Chun was the first to respond. He had been searching for answers to his seismic readings for over a year. When he read Elena's post, he realized he wasn't alone. "I'm a geologist in Tibet," Chun wrote in his first message. "I've been detecting organized underground scanning patterns that suggest someone is studying Earth's geological structure." Amy joined the conversation a week later. "I'm studying crop formations in Kansas that contain mathematical sequences. The patterns are too complex for human creation." Elena felt a rush of excitement and fear. 3 researchers on different continents were all documenting signs that Earth was being systematically studied by someone with advanced technology. Over the following months, the 3 scientists shared their data through encrypted communications. Elena analyzed Chen's seismic readings and found they matched the timing of her atmospheric disturbances. Amy's crop formations contained the same mathematical sequences that Elena had detected in the original space signals from 2019. "We're not dealing with random events," Elena wrote to the group. "This is coordinated research. Someone has been studying Earth continuously for at least 4 years. Chun agreed. The underground scanning is mapping mineral deposits, water sources, and geological stability. It's like someone is creating a detailed resource inventory of our planet. Amy's findings were the most disturbing. The crop formations aren't just random patterns. They're appearing near major population centers and agricultural regions. It's like someone is testing how quickly humans notice and respond to obvious signs of outside interference. The three scientists realized they were documenting a long-term surveillance operation. Whoever had sent those signals in 2019 had never really left. They had been quietly studying Earth for years, learning about human defenses, natural resources, and response capabilities. Elena tried contacting the government officials who had taken her original research, but their phone numbers no longer worked. She left messages with various scientific organizations, but no one seemed interested in her new discoveries. They either don't believe us or they already know and don't want us talking about it, Elena told her partners during one of their encrypted video calls. Chun had been thinking the same thing. In Tibet, we sometimes see military aircraft conducting unusual flights over areas where I've detected the strongest seismic activity. I think governments know more than they're telling. U.S. Amy had noticed increased government activity in her region too. There have been more satellite deployments over agricultural areas in the past year, and I've seen unmarked vehicles monitoring some of the crop formation sites. The three scientists continued their research throughout 2023, building a detailed picture of ongoing surveillance activities. Elena's atmospheric readings showed the scanning patterns were becoming more frequent and more detailed. Chun's seismic data indicated the underground mapping was nearly complete. Amy's crop formations were appearing closer to major cities and military installations. By December 2023, all three researchers agreed that the surveillance phase was ending. The patterns were becoming less frequent, as if whoever was studying Earth had gathered all the information they needed. Elena spent New Year's Eve 2024 at the observatory, monitoring space for any signs of new activity. She had a feeling that the silent years were coming to an end. The systematic study of Earth was complete, and soon they would learn what came next. She was right. 2 weeks later, every communication device on Earth would receive a message that would change human history forever. The silent years of secret surveillance were about to end with an ultimatum that would force humanity to face the reality that they were not alone in the universe. Elena, Chun, and Amy had spent 4 years documenting the preparation phase of first contact. Soon, the entire world would learn what the three scientists had discovered through years of careful research and analysis. January 15, 2024 started like any other Monday morning for most people around the world. Elena Rodriguez was at her observatory in Puerto Rico, drinking her third cup of coffee and reviewing data from the weekend. Dr. Chunwei was preparing for a field expedition in the mountains of Tibet. Amy Johnson was checking weather reports for the farming communities in Kansas. None of them were prepared for what happened at exactly 12 o'clock GMT. Elena was staring at her computer screen when every piece of equipment in the observatory suddenly came to life. Radio telescopes, satellite receivers, communication systems, and even the emergency broadcast equipment all activated simultaneously. The screens filled with the same message in multiple languages. "What the hell?" Elena muttered, jumping up. From her chair, the message was crystal clear, displayed in perfect English, Spanish, Chinese, Arabic, Russian, and dozens of other languages. Elena read it 3 times before the full meaning sank in. "Attention inhabitants of Earth, this is the Galactic Collective. We have completed our assessment of your civilization. You have 365 Earth days to comply with the following requirements, or face corrective intervention." Elena's hands were shaking as she continued reading. The requirements were listed in detail: immediate cessation of all nuclear weapons testing, end to large-scale environmental destruction, preparation for compliance, evaluation by galactic representatives, but the most terrifying part came next. The message included precise coordinates and descriptions of every major military base on Earth, every nuclear facility, every missile defense system, Information that no outside observer should have been able to gather. Elena immediately called David, but his phone was busy. She tried calling Dr. Chun in Tibet, but international lines were jammed. Every communication system on Earth was overwhelmed as billions of people tried to contact each other about the impossible message they had just received. In Tibet, Dr. Chen Wei was standing in his research station when all his geological monitoring equipment began displaying the same message. Chun spoke fluent English and Mandarin, and he was shocked to see the message appearing in both languages simultaneously on screens that normally only showed seismic data. Chun tried calling his colleagues at the university, but couldn't get through. He switched on his radio and heard panicked news broadcasts in multiple languages. Reporters were struggling to explain what had just happened, with many claiming it was an elaborate hoax or cyber attack, but Chun knew better. For over 2 years, he had been documenting underground scanning activities that suggested advanced technology was studying Earth. The detailed geological information in the message matched exactly with the areas where he had detected the strongest scanning activities. In Kansas, Amy Johnson was in her office when her computer, her phone, her tablet, and even the digital display on her coffee maker all showed the same message. Amy had been expecting something like this ever since she started documenting the mathematical crop formations, but seeing it actually happen was terrifying. Amy tried calling her supervisor, but the call wouldn't go through. She turned on her television and saw emergency broadcasts on every channel. News anchors were reading the same message that had appeared on every electronic device on Earth within hours. The message had spread across social media faster than any viral content in human history. People were posting screenshots, videos, and photos of the message appearing on everything from smartphones to digital billboards to electronic road signs. Government officials around the world tried to control the situation. Press conferences were hastily organized where officials claimed the message was the result of a sophisticated cyber attack. Military leaders insisted that the detailed information about defense installations was outdated or inaccurate, but Elena, Chun, and Amy knew the truth. This wasn't a cyber attack. This was the culmination of years of systematic surveillance that they had been documenting. The Galactic Collective had been studying Earth since at least 2019, gathering detailed information about human civilization, and now they were delivering an ultimatum. Elena finally managed to contact her encrypted research group that evening. Chun and Amy had both been trying to reach her all day. "Did you see it?" Elena asked, as soon as the video call connected. "The whole world saw it," Chun replied. Every electronic device on Earth displayed the same message simultaneously. "That's not possible with any human technology." Amy looked pale and worried. "The geological information they included matches exactly with the underground scanning patterns you documented, Chun, and the agricultural data corresponds with the crop formation locations I've been tracking." Elena felt a mixture of vindication and terror. "We've been right all along. They've been studying us for years, preparing for this moment." The 3 scientists spent hours analyzing the message. The mathematical precision, the detailed knowledge of Earth's geography and infrastructure, the simultaneous delivery to every communication device on the planet. Everything indicated technology far beyond human capabilities. Over the following days, world governments struggled to respond. The United Nations called emergency sessions. Military leaders held classified briefings. Scientists were brought in to analyze the message and determine if it could have been created by human technology. Elena received a call from the same government officials who had taken her research in 2019. They wanted her to come to Washington immediately to brief a special task force about her discoveries. "Dr. Rodriguez," the official said, "we need to know everything about what you detected 5 years ago. Every detail, every pattern, every analysis you performed." Elena packed her research and flew to Washington. The briefing took place in a secure government facility with officials from multiple agencies. Elena recognized some faces from television, high-ranking military officers, cabinet members, and scientists she had seen in academic journals. "Dr. Rodriguez," the lead official began, "your research from 2019 appears to have been the first Detection of what we now understand was a long-term surveillance operation. We need you to help us understand their capabilities and intentions. Elena presented her findings from the past 5 years. She explained how the original signals had contained detailed information about Earth's defenses. She showed them the atmospheric disturbance data that suggested ongoing monitoring. She connected her discoveries with Chun's seismic readings and Amy's crop formation documentation. Based on our analysis, Elena concluded, the Galactic Collective has been conducting a comprehensive study of Earth for at least 5 years. They know our military capabilities, our resource distribution, our population centers, and our technological development. This ultimatum isn't a surprise attack. It's the result of careful planning and preparation. The room was silent for several minutes after Elena finished her presentation. Finally, one of the military officials spoke up. Dr. Rodriguez, in your professional opinion, do we have any chance of resisting them if they decide to take action? Against Earth? Elena had been dreading this question. Based on the technology they've demonstrated, I don't think we have any defensive capabilities that would be effective against them. They've been studying our defenses for years. They know exactly what we have and how to counter it. News of Elena's briefing leaked to the media within days. Reporters began investigating the background of the ultimatum, discovering the years of unexplained phenomena that Elena, Chun, and Amy had been documenting. The story of ongoing alien surveillance became front-page news around the world. Public reaction was intense and divided. Some people demanded immediate compliance with the ultimatum. Others insisted that humanity should never surrender to alien demands. Protests erupted in major cities, with demonstrators calling for everything from nuclear disarmament to increased military spending. Elena returned to her observatory, feeling the weight of the world's attention. She had spent 5 years trying to warn people about what she had discovered. Now everyone knew, but she wasn't sure if humanity had the wisdom or unity to respond appropriately. The countdown had begun. Earth had 365 days to comply with the ultimatum or face consequences from a civilization whose power remained largely unknown. Elena continued her monitoring work, knowing that the next message from the Galactic Collective could determine the future of human civilization. The world changed overnight after the ultimatum from the Galactic Collective. Elena Rodriguez watched from her observatory as humanity struggled to come to terms with the reality that Earth was no longer alone in the universe. The message had been impossible to hide or deny. It had appeared on every electronic device simultaneously, witnessed by billions of people within 48 hours of the first contact. Leaked recordings of the alien message were trending on every social media platform. Government attempts to control the narrative had failed completely. People were sharing videos of the message appearing on their phones, their televisions, even their cars' GPS systems. The evidence was overwhelming and undeniable. Elena found herself at the center of a media storm. News crews from around the world wanted to interview the scientist who had first detected alien signals 5 years earlier. Her phone rang constantly with requests from reporters, documentary makers, and conspiracy theorists who claimed she was part of a government cover-up. Dr. Rodriguez, a CNN reporter asked during a live interview, you've been warning about this for 5 years. How does it feel to be proven right? Elena struggled to find the right words. I wish I had been wrong. Being right about this means humanity is facing the biggest challenge in our history. The public reaction was unlike anything Elena had ever seen. Protests erupted in major cities around the world, but the protesters weren't united in their demands. Some groups called for immediate nuclear disarmament and environmental protection to meet the aliens' requirements. Other groups demanded that governments increase military spending to defend Earth against the alien threat. In Washington, Elena testified before a joint session of Congress. The hearing was broadcast live around the world as politicians struggled to understand what they were dealing with. Dr. Rodriguez, Senator Williams asked, in your expert opinion, what are the intentions of this Galactic Collective? Elena had been thinking about this question for months. Based on their message and Their years of surveillance, I believe they see themselves as some kind of galactic authority. They've studied our civilization and found it lacking in certain areas. The ultimatum suggests they have the power to enforce their requirements. Representative Johnson leaned forward in his chair. Are you saying we should just surrender to their demands? I'm saying we should seriously consider the consequences of not meeting their requirements, Elena replied. They've demonstrated technology far beyond our capabilities. They know everything about our defenses and our weaknesses. Meanwhile, Dr. Chunwei was dealing with his own challenges in Tibet. The Chinese government had classified his seismic research and assigned military personnel to monitor his work. Chen continued detecting unusual underground activity, but now he wasn't allowed to share his findings with Elena and Amy. Dr. Chun, his military supervisor, told him, your research is now a matter of national security. You will report your findings only to authorized personnel. Chun felt frustrated and worried. The underground scanning patterns were changing, becoming more intensive in certain regions. He suspected the Galactic Collective was conducting detailed resource surveys, possibly in preparation for their compliance evaluation. But he couldn't warn anyone about what he was discovering. In Kansas, Amy Johnson was experiencing similar restrictions. Government officials had taken over her crop formation research and declared the affected farmland to be under federal investigation. Amy was allowed to continue her work, but only under constant supervision. Miss Johnson, the federal agent told her, you cannot discuss your findings with anyone outside the authorized research team. This information is classified for national security reasons. Amy watched as new crop formations appeared with increasing frequency. The mathematical patterns were becoming more complex, and they seemed to be concentrated around major population centers and military installations. Amy realized the formations might be some kind of marking system, but she wasn't allowed to share her theories with anyone. 6 months after the first ultimatum, governments around the world were still struggling to develop a unified response. Some countries had begun dismantling nuclear weapons and implementing environmental protection measures. Others had increased military spending and started developing new defense technologies. Elena was monitoring space communications when she detected the first signs that something was about to happen. The radio telescopes were picking up energy signatures from the outer edges of the solar system. The patterns were similar to what she had detected in 2019, but much stronger. David, Elena called to her colleague, something's coming. The energy readings are off the charts. David rushed over to Elena's workstation. How strong are we talking about? 100 times stronger than anything we detected before. Whatever's out there, it's massive. Elena immediately called the government task force, but before she could finish explaining what she was seeing, every communication device on Earth activated again. The second message was shorter but even more terrifying than the first. Warning acknowledged. Compliance insufficient. Galactic strike forces positioned. 183 days remain. This time, the message wasn't just delivered to electric devices. As Elena watched in amazement, the message appeared in the sky above major cities around the world, projected in letters of light that could be seen for hundreds of miles. But the demonstration didn't stop there. For exactly 60 seconds, every satellite in Earth's orbit went offline. GPS systems failed, international communications were cut, and weather monitoring systems shut down. Then, just as suddenly, everything came back online. Elena realized she was witnessing a demonstration of power that made humanity's most advanced technology look like Stone Age tools. The Galactic Collective had just shown they could disable Earth's entire technological infrastructure without causing permanent damage. The second message changed everything. World leaders who had been skeptical about the alien threat suddenly took the situation seriously. Emergency sessions were called at the United Nations, NATO, and other international organizations. Elena was flown to New York to brief the UN Security Council. Representatives from every major nation listened as she explained the technological capabilities the aliens had demonstrated. They turned off our satellites like someone flipping a light switch, Elena told the assembly. For 1 minute, Earth was completely cut off from space-based communications. They could have left those systems offline permanently, but they chose to demonstrate restraint. The Russian representative asked, Dr. Rodriguez, "Do you believe they intend to destroy Earth if we don't comply?" Elena had been dreading this question. I don't think they want to destroy Earth. Their message mentioned corrective intervention, not annihilation. I think they see themselves as teachers or enforcers, trying to guide human civilization toward what they consider acceptable behavior. The Chinese representative looked skeptical. And if we refuse their guidance? Based on what they've demonstrated, I don't think refusal is a realistic option, Elena replied. They have the power to disable our technology, disrupt our communications, and probably much worse. The question isn't whether we can resist them, it's whether we can find a way to meet their requirements while maintaining our dignity as a species. After Elena's testimony, the Security Council went into closed session for 14 hours. When they emerged, they announced the formation of a global compliance committee tasked with developing humanity's response to the alien ultimatum. Elena returned to Puerto Rico feeling exhausted and overwhelmed. She had spent the past 6 months traveling between government facilities, giving briefings and trying to help world leaders understand what humanity was facing back at her observatory. Elena continued monitoring space for signs of the approaching strike forces mentioned in the second message. The energy signatures were getting stronger every day, suggesting that massive ships or installations were moving closer to Earth. Dr. Chun managed to send Elena an encrypted message through their old research network. Underground activity increasing dramatically. They're mapping everything, water sources, mineral deposits, geological stability. It's like they're preparing for occupation. Amy also found a way to contact Elena despite the government restrictions. Crop formations appearing daily now. The patterns are more complex than ever. I think they're creating some kind of communication network or guidance system. Elena realized that the 6-month countdown was more than just a deadline. It was a preparation period. The Galactic Collective was getting ready for whatever corrective intervention meant. Whether humanity complied with their demands or not, Earth was about to change forever. As Elena watched the energy signatures grow stronger each night, she wondered if the remaining 183 days would be enough time for humanity to make the right choice. The aliens had demonstrated both their power and their patience. Now it was up to Earth's leaders to decide whether to meet their demands or face the consequences of resistance. The final week of January 2025 felt like the longest week in human history. Elena Rodriguez hadn't slept properly in days, spending every waking moment at her observatory monitoring the massive energy signatures that were now clearly visible at the edge of the solar system. The alien fleet, or whatever it was, had been growing stronger on her instruments for months. Elena's equipment showed readings that defied everything she understood about physics. The energy signatures were so massive that they should have been visible to the naked eye, yet somehow they remained invisible to all optical telescopes. Whatever technology the Galactic Collective possessed, it was beyond human comprehension. Around the world, governments were in chaos. The Global Compliance Committee had spent 6 months trying to coordinate humanity's response to the alien ultimatum, but achieving consensus among 195 countries had proven nearly impossible. Some nations had dismantled their nuclear weapons and implemented strict environmental policies. Others had secretly accelerated weapons development, believing they could find a way to fight back. Elena had been appointed as chief scientific advisor to the committee during the final month. She spent her days in video conferences with world leaders, trying to explain the reality of what Earth was facing. "Mr. President," Elena said during a secure call with the American leadership, "the energy signatures I'm detecting suggest they have technology that could disable our entire civilization without firing a single weapon. Nuclear weapons won't help us against beings who can turn off our satellites from millions of miles away." President Martinez looked frustrated and exhausted. "Dr. Rodriguez, you're asking me to surrender American sovereignty to alien demands. How do I explain that to the American people?" Elena understood his position, but she also understood what the monitoring data was telling her. Sir, I'm not asking you to surrender. I'm asking you to make a pragmatic choice about humanity's survival. These beings have been studying us for years. They know exactly what we're capable of, and they're still confident enough to give us ultimatums. That should tell us everything. We need to know about the power balance here. Similar conversations were happening in every capital city around the world. Leaders were trapped between the desire to maintain national sovereignty and the growing realization that resistance might mean the end of human civilization. Dr. Chun Wei had managed to send Elena crucial information despite the communication restrictions imposed by the Chinese government. His latest underground monitoring data showed that the alien scanning activities had mapped every major resource deposit on Earth: water sources, mineral veins, fertile agricultural land, energy deposits. Everything had been cataloged with precision that surpassed human geological surveys. They know more about Earth's resources than we do, Chun's encrypted message read. The scanning is complete. Whatever they're planning, they have all the information they need. Amy Johnson had also found ways to communicate with Elena through their old research network. The crop formations had evolved into something extraordinary during the final weeks. Instead of simple mathematical patterns, the formations now displayed complex star charts and what appeared to be navigation coordinates. Elena, Amy's message said, the latest formations are showing stellar positions and flight paths. I think they're marking landing sites or arrival coordinates. This isn't surveillance anymore, it's preparation for arrival. With only 72 hours remaining until the deadline, Elena detected a change in the energy signatures. The massive presence at the edge of the solar system was moving, accelerating toward Earth at speeds that should have been impossible. Based on her calculations, whatever was coming would arrive exactly at the moment the ultimatum expired. Elena called an emergency meeting of the Global Compliance Committee. World leaders gathered via secure video link as Elena presented her final analysis. Leaders of Earth, Elena began, I need you to understand what we're facing in the next 3 days. The alien forces are moving toward Earth and will arrive exactly when the ultimatum expires. This isn't a coincidence, it's precise timing that demonstrates complete control over their technology and our situation. Chancellor Weber from Germany asked, Dr. Rodriguez, what exactly are we looking at in terms of their capabilities? Elena had prepared for this question. Based on 6 years of monitoring their activities, they possess technology that allows them to travel between solar systems, scan planets from orbit without being detected, manipulate Earth's electromagnetic systems, and coordinate global communications simultaneously. If they wanted to destroy Earth, they could have done it years ago. The fact that they're giving us ultimatums suggests they want compliance, not destruction. Prime Minister Singh from India leaned forward. What do you recommend we do? Elena took a deep breath. This was the moment she had been dreading for months. I recommend immediate and complete compliance with their demands. Surrender all nuclear weapons, implement emergency environmental protection measures, and prepare to receive their representatives. Fighting them isn't an option, it's suicide. The debate that followed lasted for 18 hours. Elena watched as the energy signatures grew stronger while world leaders argued about sovereignty, national security, and the precedent of surrendering to alien demands. Some leaders insisted that humanity should fight regardless of the odds. Others argued that survival was more important than pride. Finally, with only 24 hours remaining, a consensus emerged. 57 countries agreed to immediate nuclear disarmament. 38 others committed to environmental protection measures. The remaining countries agreed to cease all military preparations and allow the majority decision to represent. Earth's official response, Elena was exhausted but relieved. It wasn't perfect unity, but it was enough to demonstrate that humanity was willing to comply with the alien requirements. With 12 hours remaining until the deadline, Elena was alone in her observatory when something unprecedented happened. She wasn't receiving a signal through her equipment. The message was appearing directly in her mind. Dr. Elena Rodriguez, the voice said without words. "You have served as an effective messenger for your species. We acknowledge your efforts to promote wisdom among your leaders." Elena realized she was experiencing direct telepathic communication. The voice was calm, ancient, and carried a sense of vast intelligence. "Why are you doing this?" Elena asked, not knowing if the beings could hear her thoughts. "Your species stands at a critical point in its development," the voice replied. "Many civilizations reach this stage and destroy themselves through warfare or environmental collapse. We offer guidance to those who demonstrate the wisdom to accept it." Elena felt a mixture of fear and wonder. "What happens if we comply with your demands?" "Compliance leads to membership in the galactic community. Your species will receive knowledge and technology that will solve your current problems and prepare you for expansion beyond this solar system. Resistance leads to isolation and eventual self-destruction." As Elena processed this information, the voice continued, "We do not seek to control your species. We seek to preserve civilizations that show potential for growth and wisdom. Your choice in the next few hours will determine which path humanity follows." With 1 hour remaining until the deadline, the same telepathic message reached every human consciousness on Earth simultaneously. 8 billion people experienced the same communication that Elena had received. The message was simple but profound. Last warning delivered. Strike again and face annihilation. Choose wisdom. Elena felt the collective response of humanity as 8 billion minds grappled with the reality of first contact. Fear, wonder, confusion, and hope flooded through the shared experience. For the first time in human history, every person on Earth was thinking about the same thing at the same moment. In the final minutes before the deadline, Elena watched world leaders make the most important decision in human history. President Martinez appeared on global television representing the unified leadership of Earth. "Citizens of the world," he said, "humanity chooses wisdom. We accept the guidance of the Galactic Collective and commit to the peaceful development of our civilization. We surrender our nuclear weapons and pledge to protect our planet's environment. We open our world to galactic membership." As the deadline passed, Elena's instruments showed the massive energy signatures beginning to withdraw from Earth's solar system. The crisis was over, but Elena knew that humanity's real journey was just beginning. Elena continued her work at the observatory, now serving as Earth's primary liaison with the Galactic Collective. She monitored communications from civilizations across the galaxy and helped coordinate humanity's integration into the galactic community. The choice had been made. Humanity had chosen survival and growth over pride and resistance. Elena often wondered what would have happened if the world leaders had chosen differently, but she was grateful she would never have to find out. Earth was no longer alone in the universe, and thanks to one critical moment of wisdom, humanity had earned its place among the stars.